Great to be with you. Happy New Year. I hope you had an amazing holiday and that you're ready to tackle 2022 this year. Make it the best year of your life. In fact, if you enter it with that kind of attitude, I'm sure that you are well on your way to having a fabulous year. Hey, everybody, I'm Scott Damon, and this is Arise Esther. Today, we're doing something just a little bit different. I'm interviewing me. Yeah, how about that? I just want to talk to you today. I want to help you get yourself ready for, as I said a moment ago, amazing 2022. And I want to just share some thoughts to you today about locating you in 22. So, growing up in Austria, Arnold Schwarzenegger had a very hard time seeing anyone who achieved, and he had a small chance of achieving his own fame or fortune. His parents were poor, and his father was set on Arnold joining the military, just like he did, and his father before him, becoming a police officer and all of those things. But Arnold, he had a different idea. As a child, he had picked up a magazine once with Mr. Universe. Then his name was Reg Park. And Reg Park was on the cover of this new magazine, and it was showing that he was the star of the movie Hercules. And Arnold, as he read through this magazine, he went through page after page after page, meticulously dreaming about all of these specifications of what it takes to be Mr. Universe. And he could see himself there. It was like his future was unfolding before him. He was going to follow Reg Park's footsteps. He was going to become a bodybuilding Amazon. He was going to be a champion. And then he wanted to be a huge movie star. Well, his friends and his family, they were just so stupefied and said, that is idiotic. And no, you're not going to do that. But Arnold had that vision. Oh man, you got to just say, thank God for vision. And so what he did was he plastered pictures all over his bedroom, on the ceiling and on the wall. So every day when he waked up, he would declare, that's me. That's where I'm going. Someday, this is going to be my story. I'm going to be Mr. Universe, and I'm going to be a Hollywood star. Well, you know the story. He smashed all of his bodybuilding goals. He became the biggest action hero star of the 20th century because he had a vision. How about you? Do you have a vision? Can you see yourself? Do you have a relationship with your future you? Who are you? What are you doing? Can you see yourself? Are you able to picture you doing amazing things and fulfilling your God-given dream and living into the passions that God has put on your heart? Well, vision boards have been used by hundreds and thousands of people, some famous people that we would all know of. Vision boards have helped them become who they are today. I think of the story of Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey, he went up to the highest peak in Hollywood, overlooking the entire city. And that night, in the face of rejection after rejection after rejection, he took out his checkbook and he wrote himself a check. And he said, $10 million written to Jim Carrey. And in the memo line, he wrote, for services rendered. He dated it 10 years from that day into the future, and he put it in his wallet. And Jim carried that around for many years. And whenever he felt disappointed or discouraged, or whenever he felt great and went into his wallet to get some money, he would see that check in there, $10 million. Well, guess what? You know what's coming, right? 10 years, almost to the day, Jim Carrey landed the role in a little movie called Dumb and Dumber. And guess what they gave him for his retainer? Yes, a check for $10 million. Michael Jackson they found after he passed away something that he had written on the back of a tour bulletin, 1979, his goals. And what he wrote in his handwriting, and you can find this on Google, he said, I'm going to be the biggest pop star around, and nobody's going to think of me as the little kid who sang ABC. Well, he did that. And on and on and on we could go. Oh, what about this guy who had a vision? And he said, I'm going to be a best-selling author. And he was rejected over 100 times in his manuscript. They said, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you. He could have quit. He could have got discouraged, and I'm sure he did, but he stayed in faith and he had a vision and he saw it. Chicken soup for the soul. Today, Jack Canfield is probably a multimillionaire because he has sold millions and millions of books. In fact, Jack Canfield says this: your brain will work tirelessly to achieve the statements you give your subconscious mind. And when those statements are the affirmations and the images of your goals, you are destined to achieve them. That's awesome, right? So let me talk to you today about locating you in 2022. The first thing you have to do to locate you, it's just this word called clarity. You have to know where you are. ASA sisters, if you're listening to this, other human beings, welcome to Arise, Esther, but you have to know where you are today. You know, we do a lot of traveling, and the first thing that I do when I get off of an airplane in a strange city, before I find the snacks, and that's pretty important to me, and the bathroom, before I do all of that, you know what I do? I look for that big map. And that map usually has some kind of red round circle on it that says, you are here. That's important for me. I need to know where I am. What gate have I just gotten to? Because unless I know where I am, I don't have any clue on where to go next. I don't know what direction to take. I don't know what pathway to take. So it's true with our life too. You have to locate you right now. Where are you? Be honest with yourself. Be clear on you. Be a student of you, your life, your circumstances. Be clear on your strengths and your weaknesses and your goals, your dreams, your desires, your passions. You know, as we age, our passions change. Is it time for you to put an end to something and you just don't know how to say it? But I'm not passionate about this anymore. The grace has lifted off of me. Locate you, be honest about your skills and about your problem areas. How are you doing in your relationships? How are you doing in your finances? Locate you. How are you doing in your health? How is your body? Are you happy with where you are? Your weight, your strength, your condition, the frame, your posture. Let's just be honest about where we are. What needs to change in your life? What things are not as though they should be? What things just aren't where they should be? And what do you need more of? Or perhaps what do you need less of? I had to make some important decisions, some scary decisions a little bit too this past year in 2021, because I came to the reality that the thing that I was very passionate about most of my life, it had changed. And it was time for me to move into the next chapter of my life, a necessary ending. And we don't think endings are very popular. And that's another whole story. It's because how we frame them. When things end, we think it's sad and I failed and I wasn't something enough. But the reality is that God will lift burdens off of us to indicate to us we're done. So this leads me to the next thing. And obviously, if once you locate where you are, then where do you want to go? Was it Mark Twain? Yes, who said, I can tell anyone how to get what they want out of life. The problem is, I can't find anyone who can tell me exactly what they want out of life. I believe it was the rabbit who said to Alice in Wonderland, "Where do you want to go?" She said, "I don't know. Which way should I go?" "Well, again, where do you want to go?" She said, "I don't know." He said, "Well, then any path will do. If you don't know where you want to go, then any path will take you to I don't care where I am destiny." But if you know where you want to go, if you care where you want to go, if you want to blueprint your future, you need to be clear. Because I want to tell you something, in 5 years, you will arrive. Yes. The question is, where will you arrive? You will either arrive into the future with a carefully crafted, by design, blueprinted life plan, or you will arrive in 5 years at a destiny that you didn't choose, maybe you don't want, maybe you don't even like. Now, understanding that God is sovereign and things happen in life, but he partners with us and he says, speak out of your mouth. You shall speak a thing, you shall decree a thing, and I will do it. So where do you want to go? And if you want to know for sure where you want to go, get a piece of paper, because if it's not on paper, it's a vapor. That's what Terry Savelle says, and I love that. But once you get crystal clear, if your goals are vague, your results will be vague too. So get really clear. And once you know where you want to go, then you can decide, is there a skill that I need to improve on or develop? And if you don't make a decision, by the way, decision making is a skill all in of itself. And some people have a hard time just landing on something. But if you don't make a decision, you've really already made a decision, haven't you? So don't be paralyzed because you lack knowledge on where you want to go. Gain clarity. What kind of future do you want? What kind of body do you want? What kind of relationship do you want? What kind of friendships do you want? What kind of business do you want? What kind of money do you want to make? What kind of house do you want to live in, or where do you want to travel? What do you want your ministry to look like? What type of book do you want to write next? What kind of contract do you want to land? What type of investment do you want to make? Or what kind of gadget do you want to invent? Be clear, identify where you want to go. All right. And number 3 on this locating you, getting clarity on where you are, getting clear on where you want to go, and then take some clear action towards it. Baby step it if you have to. In fact, baby steps are great. If your dream is to start a center for unwed moms, what can you do today? Well, you can do some research. You can look for some property. You can volunteer at the YWCA. You can find other people who have the same heart as you, and you can network. You can start seeding and giving money towards a ministry like Mercy, or here in Michigan, we have a ministry called the War Chest. It's international, Women at Risk, which I support. There are many things that you can do to start gaining clarity and getting vision, getting movement around where you want to go. Or maybe you want to run a marathon, which I don't know why anyone wants to run a marathon, but there are many people who do. And in fact, even as I say that, maybe that's something I'll conquer one of these days. How likely am I to do that? I'm not sure, but let's say you do want to run a marathon. Okay, God bless you, Godspeed. But then you've got to organize your schedule to include running 3 times a week, and then 4 times a week, and 5 times a week. And I imagine eventually every day. What about the right shoes? Go out and get the right shoes, get the right running clothes. Make sure you find out which event you want to run in, and make sure you register and that you qualify for that event. Give yourself a deadline. Maybe you want to call your BFF and say, hold me accountable to preparing and conditioning for this race. So baby step, what can you do? The number one reason why people fail to achieve success and fulfillment in their life is because they lack clarity. Don't let that be you. Find out what you really want to do, where you really want to go, what you really want to accomplish. Because without clarity, your brain, which is a goal-seeking organism, doesn't know how to filter to you what's important and what's not important. Your brain has no target to hit, and you end up just reacting to life as it comes to you, not making any real progress. I started doing this several years ago, writing down every year goals. And I don't just write down what I want. That's important too, but more about the inspirations as I quiet myself and I make it a spiritual experience. And I just get alone with my creator and I think about what God has put inside of me. And, Psalm 37, verse 19 says, he will give you the desires of your heart. I hope that's the right address for that scripture. I believe it is. He will give you the desires of your heart, those that delight in him. And I started thinking about what does that mean when you delight in God? And I understand that when you spend time with God and when you delight in God, he puts desires in your heart. He places those desires in your heart. And then it takes faith, my friends, to believe with audacity that the desires of your heart have come from God and they're there because he intends to fulfill them. And that's how I want to operate my life. I want to believe that what God has given me, what's in my heart, it lines up with his word. It resonates with people that I know, my husband, and those that I'm accountable to. But the desires of my heart, I say, God, you put them there and you want them to come to pass. And so I'm believing you this year. So I write those things down and then I prioritize them and then I move forward. So sister, brave-hearted woman, Esther's, all of you who are listening to this podcast today, and maybe a few of you sneaky men who got on here, that's all right. The principles are universal, that you need clarity about where you are right now, and you need honesty. And then you need clarity with bold faith about what you want and where you want to go. And then you need to take action towards it. All right? You see that, you receive that, you believe that, then if you do, you will achieve it. It's been great to be with you today, and I hope that you are a part of the amazing Advanced Writers and Speakers Association. This is the official podcast of ASA, and I am privileged to be bringing it to you today. And I hope that you will join us next week. But until then, this is Dawn Damon, your host, saying, ooh, hey, modern day Esther, is this your moment to arise?